everybody, welcome back to Childhood Expired, where we share our experiences in early adulthood. I'm Abril, the college student that adds fire to this group.
And I'm Kike. I'm the funny and the wise one of the group.
And I'm Kathy. I'm the dog mom and the glue that keeps this group going, and I'm married to Kike.
This episode is called Ni de aquí, ni de allá. Neither here nor there. We are talking about our experience being first generation American or a migrant. So to start the conversation, what do you guys identify as? What are you? When people squint their eyes and look at you because they don't want to guess wrong, what are you?
When people say to me, what are you or where are you from? I say, my parents are Guatemalan, but I was born and raised here. Mm-hmm. That's always my answer. And even in Spanish, like, ¿de dónde eres? Mis papás son de Guatemala. That's what I answer. Mm-hmm. And they're like, ¿y tú? I was born here.
I'm born here.
Yeah, like, but I don't say I'm Guatemalan. I think only once in my life, only once somebody came in. It was where I was working. I was front desk receptionist. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hi, how are you? Whatever. And they looked at me and said, you're Guatemalan. I was like, yeah.
Wow.
I am.
I
think I am. And then I'm like, well, technically my parents are Guatemalan. You know, and I always have to like explain it because I don't fully feel like I can say I'm Guatemalan.
That you can take that title.
Yeah.
I think for me,
you don't deserve it.
It's the same in a sense for me. It depends who asks me. If you ask me, if you're Latino and you ask me, I'm the same way. I'm like, my parents are from Peru. My mom's from Peru, and I was born here. Like, I make it very clear because saying, like, I don't think I can take that. I can't take the motherland title.
Qualify.
I don't qualify. I wasn't from the motherland. I can't take the title. But if an American asks me, I make it very clear to say, oh, I'm Peruvian. I'm Peruvian American. Make it very clear to say, I'm Latina. I'm not Mexican. Like, I make it very clear to say that because you automatically assume. And I make it very clear to say I'm American because then the next question after that, oh, were you born here? Are you illegal? Most of the time. It's not even the, are you born here? Are you illegal? Yeah. So I think it depends on who asked me. But I'm very proud to say I both. I'm Peruvian American. Mm-hmm. You?
I am not culturally, I would say, because I'm not good with history, but I am Puerto Rican. I actually tell people that I am Puerto Rican. You know, people always think that I'm Mexican or white. Neither of those. I am Puerto Rican. So as basic as that. And then they're like, oh, you know, I thought you were this. Or you don't sound Puerto Rican. And I was like, no, not really. No, I just don't put that much effort into like being myself. I actually put effort into making them understand me. Because I am not good in either English or Spanish.
I think you qualify though. To say qualify. I'm Puerto Rican.
Because you're from the motherland.
Yeah, you were born there. You lived more than half your life there.
Exactly. More like half plus of my life has been.
Yeah, you don't feel unworthy like us.
But you're coming up. You're coming up on half of your life here.
Pretty soon.
On 24.
But I still am connected to it.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's not like I'm going to lose it anytime soon.
And it's not like you can't ever go back.
Yeah, he can visit whenever he wants.
That blessing.
So me and Kathy would be considered first generation Americans. You know, we're the first generation to be born on the soil. Our parents are considered immigrants. But you are not considered an immigrant nor first generation. You are considered a migrant.
Yes.
Why?
Well, you have to get down to what does a migrant mean? And it basically means to move around. You know, like, for example, a great example, a lot of people use this term, is when flocks of birds, they migrate to state, north to south. That is to move. And I am sort of owned by the U.S. So
yeah.
I'm not happy about it, but I am happy about it. I'm blessed, but I'm not.
Yeah, for real.
Blessing, but a curse.
Yeah.
So it's the people think that sometimes people think that we're illegal or we're a state, and we're like, no, neither of those. So we're
a territory.
We say Estado Libre Asociado, which means we're state free. But we're associated.
Yeah.
So we're like in connection. You know, we're
But we don't call you
allied.
that. We call you a territory.
Sorry.
You're a U.S. territory.
We
don't say this is Puerto Rico of what'd you say? Associated Free State.
Yeah.
No, you're our territory.
Yeah. It's
Whoa.
That's what they say.
Hey, but the moment y'all start fighting for freedom, we're right there with you.
I heard that supposedly Puerto Rico has intentionally fought, you know what, let's be a state. And they're not letting us do that either.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they're kind of playing with us like a monopoly. You know, it's like a thing.
Yeah.
So I am Puerto Rican.
Yeah, you're Puerto Rican. Let's not complicate much. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are your experiences trying to connect with your Latino side and your American side? Like what is great about connecting with both? What makes it hard to connect with either or? And what makes you feel like you can't connect with either or? Kike.
I would say it's not about the culture. I think it's just more me, myself, like as a personality kind of thing. Because in English, people correct me all the time. In Spanish, people correct me all the time. So it's just like, I mean, it's kind of like the title, Ni de aquí, ni allá. It's just, but I mean, like, I certainly connect more with like my roots, as in like culture and being able to speak fluently and not lose my trace of my language.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like I can speak well my native tongue naturally. Kathy earlier was telling me, what is your primary language? And I was like, Spanish. She was like, no, it's English. And I was like, it's Spanish. And then she tells me, you know, you spent 12 and 12. And I was like, I am not 24 years old. You know?
I have a follow-up question for that.
Uh-oh.
What do you consider your primary language? Was the question.
It was Spanish.
What do you think when you have thoughts in your brain? Do you think them in English or in Spanish?
I think about them in Spanish almost. Yeah.
Really?
English
See,
and Spanish.
I feel like you're lying.
I feel like you're lying. I feel like you're trying to prove your point.
Are you sure you don't think in English?
Okay, for example, counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
You count in Spanish?
Yeah.
I've never heard you count in Spanish.
But like in your brain, he's saying he counts it in his brain.
Even when we do mic checks, you always go 1 2 1 2.
Well, here's the thing. It's related to my personality.
That's true.
You guys know that I am a person, and we spoke about this in previous episodes, that I reflect what's around me.
Yeah, the environment.
That's true.
So
that's why I'm asking your brain.
Yeah, my brain. My brain says I start counting in English or start talking in English when I'm around American people. Well, we're all American. But, you know, English speaking people. So when I'm around Spanish people, I start thinking a bunch of things in Spanish.
Yeah.
It's just where I'm at. It's just, you know, it depends. English or Spanish.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. But primary language, Spanish.
Spanish.
To the heart.
Okay.
And what makes you, okay, so you said, okay, when connecting to your Latino side, like you feel very connected.
In that sense, yes. I can't say anything about social studies. I can't say anything about history itself. I am not well educated. Well, I just didn't put my efforts into it. But it's just that I'm kind of like not the best person to be asked about history or culture itself. I know some things here and there that are like stand out the most, like our native American roots are Taínos. You know, that's what they're called. And I know that Christopher Columbus, you know, came, you know, claimed us.
Did his thing.
Now we were never ourselves
discovered, right?
I know that our blood consists of 3, you know, Spanish, English. Spanish, African American, and Native American. That's what our blood consists of. Just like the overview or what is to be a Puerto Rican, but it's not like I can get into deep culture, social history.
Like you don't know what war was fought in 1812,
no,
and
I don't.
And that's fine. I don't.
Not even here. When I came here, when I migrated.
War.
Yeah,
the war of 1812.
That's something.
Yeah, when I migrated here, D's all the way. Yeah, I was D's get degrees, you know? The degrees start with D.
That's not the same.
I'm kidding.
That's not the same.
No. I had a hard time with history. Some were just not good teachers, and you know, it's like when you give your effort, you know, it wasn't worth it. But that's what I would say about my connection with my roots.
Identifying with the English side, with your American side.
With me American.
Me American.
With my American side, I would say is the fact my hobbies, my personalities, my most of my friends speak English. So it's more of a we live in the United States and this is in English.
Yeah, it's your current culture.
Yeah.
My current culture right now is based more around English things. So I had to conform to that, you know. I had to change the way I live to be able to you know, move on.
I really fully feel that I am American.
Yeah.
I really, until I'm with somebody that's actually fully American.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you know, but like in my day-to-day life, I really do identify as an American. I love learning American history. Like I don't know anything about Guatemala. My parents aren't very patriarchal. Is that the word? They aren't very patriarchal. Like my parents, when I say I want to go visit Guatemala, they're like, why? Like we moved away from there because we didn't want to be there. And I'm like, but you don't feel like, you know, like that's your home country, you know, like I want to know about it. And they're like, it's really not great. You don't need to go. Like when I talk about it, my parents are like, go visit other places, go visit pretty places, go, you know, go to Italy, go to visit other places, go to Puerto Rico with Kike. Why are you going to go to Guatemala? And I'm like, dang, because I've never been there. Yeah. Because I tell people I'm Guatemalan and I know nothing. That's a part of you. Whether... Like I would at least like stand on the land, breathe the air, see the tree and say, I did it. The motherland. You know, I've been there before. Yeah, or like if somebody, every once in a while, you know, I do look a little bit pretty Guatemalan, depending on who you're comparing me to. But I don't know nothing. And they're like, you know, I've met Guatemalan people and they're like, oh, yeah, we're from this and this place. Where's your family from? And I'm like, I think it's this, you know? And, and like, I don't know what they're talking about, where that place is, you know, the cities and whatever. So I really do. I identify a lot with my American side. I'm like, I love the national anthem. Like every once in a while I get it stuck in my head. Like I'm proud to be an American. I really am. Definitely. But there are scenarios where then I'm like, okay, but what happens in your house? Things that your parents do. Yeah, like, no,
my parent doesn't do that.
That doesn't apply to me.
And dishwasher? I'm like, that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I had a dishwasher. Yeah?
No.
I wish I had one here.
My mom said that it wasted water. There was a waste of water. Even if we had one, it was to store dishes. It wasn't to... No.
But I know a lot of Hispanics that do that. Yeah, but we do use our dishwasher. Wow, see, my parents are Americanized too. They are. They don't care about Guatemala. It sounds bad. I mean... Until they're like with their family, they're like, we're all Guatemalan. Just recently, we had family over. So you can feel it. But they have no interest in like, So I don't know much about it, and I'm like, I'm American. Like, you know, that's who I am. Until I'm like, no, that doesn't apply to me. No, I never had that. That didn't exist in my life. So it's a lot easier to identify as American. And we were talking about it a little bit before the podcast that I never say I'm Guatemalan American. That never has crossed my mind. No, my parents are Guatemalan and I was born here. That's literally the only response I ever give.
I sometimes I'll say the full sentence, but I make it very clear because I'm proud to be Peruvian. I'm very proud to be American as well. But I mean, my family. Well, I don't know. Did you have a lot of family when your family migrated here? Like a lot of them, or no? Well. Same. My mom didn't have a lot of people, so all she really had was, you know, to hold on to her culture was to embrace it and to, you know, remember it. But same too, like my family was definitely like, we're from this country, we're going to love this country, we're going to embrace it, we're going to assimilate in a sense, maybe not get rid of everything, but assimilate to the things that are here. Definitely, I connect with my Latino side a lot. I hear the music. I try to learn how to cook the food. Like I make it an effort to do that or to ask questions. But definitely like because I'm not from the motherland, to say that I'm Peruvian just like that, I don't, you know? And like even like I don't even know Spanish that well. but I know the dialect. I know certain words that we only use that no other country uses, you know, and I take pride into that. Yeah, the slang. In my American side, I'm the same way. Like, right, like when I'm around, I went to an all white, like I grew up in a very Hispanic neighborhood, but everybody around me was Mexican. So even that, I was just like, there's things that you guys do that I don't do. Yeah, like cowboy boots and hat. That's not a thing. Yeah. Like, so even that, like, I never felt like there was some things, even the cultures around me, the Latino cultures around me, I was just like, no, that's not me. And then when I went to like basically predominantly white high school, it was even more like, yeah, I'm not like you. Yeah. Not even a little bit. It's just the way that they carry themselves, the things that are important to them. Like, it's just the cultural aspect of it. Like, it was very hard to connect to that. And I guess that it's just a big question of what is American to you, you know? Like, and I think it's beautiful that my American is being Latino. That's why I think I put so much emphasis on saying I'm Peruvian American, because me being Peruvian does not make me less American. And me being American does not make me less Peruvian. And I'm proud to say the both, you know? But then when you go to, you know, the sides, yeah, there's moments where it's like, I feel a little less than. Yeah. I do have those moments where I'm like, I'm not, this side don't accept me. This side don't accept me. I'm an outcast. I'm an outcast.
You know what? Something for me that, as you were talking, I remembered this. Growing up, I was also in very American, very white school system, right? There was only a few Hispanics. And the few that they were, like, I wasn't friends with, or they weren't in my classes, or just not the same social groups, or whatever. You know, we just weren't the few that there was. And I never really felt like I was missing out on anything until I got to the current church where we all attend. And there's so many Hispanics there. And then all of a sudden I had all these friends that were my age that were Hispanic. And I realized the similarities in culture that I never found in my other friends. You know, and I never realized that I was missing that something was, in a sense, in my blood. You know, that it was there, never tapped into, really, never really got to be expressed. Like, I'm bilingual. My Spanish isn't perfect, but I can speak Spanish. And I would never need to use it. Besides if I was talking to my parents, but they also know English. So I could just use whichever I wanted to. And then, like, having actual conversations in Spanish and full sentences and, you know, a whole conversation. I was like, wow, this was, this is a part of me. And it was a really nice feeling. It really was.
That side of you is relieving.
It does. Yeah, when you get a group of us and you can just be unapologetically you, whether that's super white, super American, super Latino, like, it feels great to be able to be
still like there that. Are things that are not exactly the same between a Mexican, a Peruvian, a Guatemalan, a Puerto Rican, but there's a lot of similarities, you know, where we can all hang out and be like, yeah, this and this, you know, and be like, yeah, me too.
Definitely. So what are some things, because we talked about it, right? Like, we don't feel like from here, we don't feel like from there. There's just aspects that we feel so strongly in both. But what are some experiences being a migrant from Puerto Rico or being first generation American that only we feel? Like, if your family has been here since Christopher Columbus, you have no idea what we're talking about. Or if you've been here for a couple generations, like 2 or 3, there's no way you're going to experience. This is something that is only to first generations or migrants. What do you feel like there's just something that nobody else could relate to unless they're in your position?
I've always had this fear of hitting a topic or conversation where it has to do with their financial side or like survival through Mexico to the US or whichever Central America or South America, their trip up and how their stability is and stuff has been like really hard for me in the sense that, you know, I am blessed, you know, I am privileged, but it's not like I am above you. And that's always been really hard for me because when I feel that, you know, although people feel like, man, like, we don't reach those standards. I'm on the other side, like, man, people are gonna think that I'm just like some kind of rich boy that is like by law legal and can have anything I want. It's like not true.
Or that you think you're better than the rest of the Latinos.
Like, I feel like people are gonna think about me that way, and it's not true. And that's why sometimes when people start talking about like, man, like we have to cross the sea, or we gotta like go through the desert, this and that, and then they start talking about like Puerto Ricans have it easy, this and that, and I'm like,
or even like sense, what it was like to the first couple years here or whatever, in comparison to you guys just move here and continue life.
And just,
And like, although, like those things are true, but it's like, we're not any better than you guys, and it's something that there's this idea that I had, and it was confirmed by, like older people than me that knew more about Puerto Rico than I did, that they said, if we weren't an ally with the U.S., we would have been the same. Yeah. We could have been the same. And that's a part that made sense to me, that I was like, I mean, I see poverty on the streets. I see like all these things on the streets and things that still need to be done. One of the major issues in Puerto Rico is how finances are really messed up, and how people are making so little money and have to pay so many bills. Like, it's crazy. And I don't know a lot about it. It's just the basic knowledge of what I know about Puerto Rico. But that is one of my major fears in having to connect with other people, is the fear of them thinking that I don't equal, or like I am not able to relate or anything, or even understand, because I just want to be able to be your friend. I just want to be able to relate. I just want to be able to have a conversation like we are right now. That has always been scary for me, the fact that you're gonna think that none of what I say is true. I'm privileged. That has been hard for me as a migrant.
And I think for me, as somebody and I have these conversations with like Americans, right? Like white Americans. Like I feel like I don't ever say my story or openly try to share other people's story to make you feel guilty. But the reality is, this is how many people live. This is how I live. Might be how somebody I know lives. The person down the street lives. I had just I'm taking this class, a sociology class, and our professor had made us watch this documentary about this family in El Salvador, who this man has lived in the United States for 40 years, I think. 40 years he's lived in the United States, and he just got deported back to El Salvador. He had a son in El Salvador, and he wants to send his son to the U.S. with his adult daughters. His daughters were born in the U.S. They're like in their 20s. They're there, and he's here with his son. And it was a beautiful documentary. It showed some insight about how families who are willing to migrate, whether it's legally, illegally, money, whatever it is, to give yourself a better life. And I looked through the discussion comments because I was ready to pick a fight. I intentionally looked through every comment because I was ready to
Who am I gonna fight?
I was ready to find the comment that was like, well, they decided to come here illegally. They didn't want to follow the law. That's what they deserve. I saw in the documentary one person said, well, when you get arrested here in America, we separate you from your kids. It makes no difference if you come to this country illegally and we separate you at the border from your kids. That's how it is. So I was ready to find that comment, right? I was ready to pick a fight. But every single comment that was from people that weren't Latino, because you can tell because the last name, okay? I know if the last name's Thomas and the other one's Diaz, that, and you read it. So all of them said, this was so eye-opening. This hurt me to see this. I never knew that this was happening. And that hurt me as somebody that grew up hearing these stories. I don't know if you did. I grew up hearing stories about my family or my friend's family or whatever, about they got sent back and now they have to do this, or we have to send money or this and that. And the fact that I live my life knowing that and you are completely oblivious, I don't want to make you feel guilty. Idea. I want to bring awareness. I want you to fight for me and what this is. Well, that's one experience, right? Like the experience of, coming, like being a part of somebody that come to this country, or just knowing certain things that you won't see, like the immigration process or deportation, or just coming in a space and feeling like an outsider just because of your hair color, your skin color. Like people know nothing about you and you just feel that. what are maybe some other experiences that we have that only we have?
We are certified translators.
100%. We put it on our resume. Can interpret.
Yes. Yeah, that's a big part growing up. My dad moved here when he was like 14, 15. My mom moved when she was like 18, I think. But as a young kid, my dad knew English and like had jobs and whatever. He was fine in the normal world. But my mom didn't know English. So I was a translator and, Mom, they're saying this. And like eventually, I think my mom started taking classes to learn English when I was like 8 or 9, maybe. And before that, she understood things here and there, but she wasn't confident in her English, you know. And I think really in the last couple years, she has grown into that confidence and like it's okay that I have an accent, and she can communicate with people, and they run a small business and got customers and everything. But it was a big part to have to translate for her, and I always felt embarrassed to translate, and it's sad to look back on it. But I always like, Mom, just talk to them like you understand what they're saying. And Mom was like, yeah, but like you have better English, like just tell them this, and so like now my mom has reached a point where she'll go to like a doctor or something and they offer a translator and she's like, no, because they'll translate it like incorrectly. And now she understands that it's done wrong, or that's not what I said, or that's not what the doctor said, because she understood the doctor. She's like, no, I'm better off without the translator. But I was her translator, me and my brother, and you would have moments it's like, Mom, just learn English. Like, come on, Mom. Like, we live here. And that's me, But at the time, you're a kid and you don't really realize some of the things that you say. But that's a big part. That is an experience that we have.
Yeah, definitely. And even now, maybe not you, but like even now I still do it. Like, I'm able to do my own taxes now because at the age of like 12, 13, I was already reading tax papers. Like, I already knew how all that stuff worked. So now I just do it by myself because I know it worked. I go to the doctor with my grandma. Like, it's just something that you, like, I think even places, like, expect it, too. Like, when somebody comes in, a Hispanic person comes in, and they have, like, that person, like, oh, you're here to translate. I just felt like that. And I think that's cute. Like, that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that.
I think I've always had funny experiences like that. Not with my parents, but like I would have like some people while we're at church and there's somebody that doesn't speak English and there's one that doesn't speak Spanish and they're trying to communicate each other about the construction and how the plan works and how they're supposed to do this. And I'm just helping out. And they pull me to the side. I was like, hey, help us. And I'm like, just like, what? Like, pulled aside.
Put your translator cap on.
And they're like, tell him that I need to do this, but I don't know how to work this. So maybe he has something for that. And I go, no. And they're like, oh, but I don't have that. And it's like, he said he doesn't have it. And it was like, and I would have like one of my friends like laughing in the back because I'm just kind of like left, right, like having to translate that. I always thought like those were my kind of experience when translating. I never had to translate for my parents because in Puerto Rico, I think from what I remember from the times that I lived there, it was more of a requirement to learn English, just like you learn here. Like your classes is required to have English and then to graduate a second language. For us, it's the same. We have to have Spanish, and English is one of the most global languages around. It's global. Yeah. It's around the world. So we have to learn that. So those two languages is the only reason why we're able to come with easier steps into the United States. Like airplane, that means avión, like plane.
And it gets harder depending on what area you're in. Like when you were talking about the taxes. Right now, it's a whole new world now that my parents have a small business. Business taxes are different than personal taxes. And my dad is adamant, like, you need to go with me. And my dad has known English all my life. He's like, you need to be in it with me because you're going to understand. And I don't know what they need from me or whatever. And I sit in there, I'm like, Dad, I don't know either. I don't know what she's saying. And he's like, she said this. I'm like, Dad, I don't know what that means. Like all this business tax terminology, I don't know it either. But like, we're learning this together, like, because I don't know it. But he's like, I need you there because I'm not going to understand it. I'm like, I don't know either, Dad, but I'm going to do my best.
And that's what we do. Like my mom came here like in 2000, probably in 2000, right? So me and my mom have been in this country the same amount of years, basically.
Yeah.
So we learned everything together. While she was learning how to be an American, so was I.
Yeah.
When she was learning like what it takes to put kids through school
Then the
and
school
like
system.
the school system and the test, so was I. Like there is like we were figuring things out together, you know? But then that's what makes it hard is when I have new experiences here in this country that she never had. And it's like, crap, like, no, we're not having this together. I have to figure it out by myself because it's I don't know. Going through college, I cried and cried because I had no idea how financial aid like worked. I had no idea how residency worked. I was determined out of state for my first year of school, and I didn't go to college because of that. And I was so
Same thing happened to me.
I was like, I was born here. I've lived in the same address for 7 years. Like, I'm like, how can a quiz basically tell me that I'm out of state because I have to put 0000 in a certain box?
Yeah.
You know, like it's frustrating. And so I had to go through that by myself and I had to figure it out. And where we live in rural North Carolina, they're now coming up. There's a lot of resources for Latinos. A couple years ago, it wasn't like that. When I was in high school, there wasn't no group for Latinos to help specifically them get through this. Yeah. Because that's something that we personally go through. College right now, I'm trying to figure out how to transfer. My head is all over the place. I don't know how many emails I've made so far, how many phone calls I've made so far to make sure I'm checking off every box because I don't have a mom, an uncle, or nothing that can be like, am I doing this right? Am I worried? Is there a deadline that I missed? Should I be speaking to this person? Should there be a scholarship that I apply for? Like,
yeah, someone who's done it.
Yeah, there's not. And so, yeah, like I said, like whenever it comes to experiences that they've never had, and I do it by myself, I don't have somebody beside me to help me out with that. And because of that, whenever I have opportunities, you know, to do this or to do that my family never had, I feel a little guilty. I feel a little guilty that, you know, I get to go to college and I got to figure it out and I got everything paid for. I feel guilty that maybe I will never know what it's like to I will never know what it's like to go to another country at my age. At this age, my mom was already here. At this age, my mom almost met my father. At this age, I would be pregnant. Like, I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like to sleep on the floor with somebody that you have no idea whose house in a whole other country with no family. I don't know what that's like. I feel guilty sometimes. I feel guilty that I go to college. I feel guilty that I'm allowed to go on an airplane if somebody asks me for my ID, my documentation. But here you go. And I'm ready to fight it because of whatever, you know.
Because you have it.
Because I have it, you know.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like that?
I've never felt guilty. No, I don't think I've ever found myself in a scenario where I feel bad that I have something. But definitely, yeah, there are things that I'm like, man, I wish my mom had this. My dad had this. I wish that they could have peace. You know, that they could live in a sense a more normal life. That they could experience these things and not have to worry about this or worry about that. That we could travel. You know, that we could go out of the country, go visit new places. Yeah. I wish that for them. But I don't think I've ever been in a place because I think my parents and most parents do make it very clear that, like, you know, we moved to have better opportunities. Yeah. And we're happy that you have these opportunities. You know, definitely. And most parents of immigrant, what do you call it? Immigrational parents? Immigrant parents? Immigrant parents make that very clear that, like, we are proud that you get to have this. Definitely. So I have never felt bad, but yeah, there's a desire that, like, man, I wish you could have this. I wish you could have this. I want you to have that. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest fear that I don't think anybody, unless you are maybe first generation or you're in that circumstance, growing up, I remember vividly, even to this day as an adult, I have my game plan of if my mom goes back to Peru, like I know what I'm going to do. Like, and growing up, that was, you know, you're always scared if something happens to your parents. But for other kids, other Americans, that's just a fear. Like, that's just something like, oh, I don't want mommy to leave for so long. Like, that's a fear, right? But for us, or for me, in a sense, that was my reality. It
It could happen tomorrow, and I have to be okay with that.
And you know stories of it.
I know
People
stories
you knew,
of it. I have to be strong for it. I have to have my game plan. What am I going to do with my brothers? Who's going to do this? Where am I going to go? I remember everything. If anything, I would go with my aunt. I would do this. Me and my brother would do that. Maybe my brother would go to his dad, whatever. As an adult now, I know how much money I need to make, what second income I need to get. I know where I need to move. I know where my name has to be put on to have the house. I know how to get custody of my brothers. Like, I know these things. And unless you're in that, you don't know
you
that.
don't have to think about that.
You don't have to think about it. Your kids, they're never going to have to know that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing. But man, that's just something that I have to deal with, that is, I hold on to. I think that's what, and even more so, like, that's why it's important to have people that look like us in places.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was saying before the podcast, man, I remember growing up thinking, I can't wait. Like, I want to work at Jack in the Box one day. Because my mom used to work at Jack in the Box. Mm-hmm. Or like even in high school, I was going to graduate high school, never go to college, and work in a factory. Because that's all I saw. That's all I knew. Going to college wasn't an option. It was talked about. But because nobody in my family's done it, it's not like they could tell me, hey, here's a deadline. Go to this, do this. They were just like, you should go. Okay, how? I don't know. No idea. But
ask your teacher.
Knowing how to work hard and work in a place and in a production area, I could do that. I remember being a little kid dreaming about working in Jack in the Box. And now as an adult, I'm proud that I see movies or TV shows that are for kids, that have brown women there, that have women that look like me with my facial features, high cheekbones, black hair, dark eyes, brown skin, an accent. Like, I love it, and it's important. And so because of that, what is something to lighten up the mood a little bit? What is something that you love? Like, you love so much about being Latino, or you love so much about being American. Like, nobody can take that away from you.
I would say just not, like, it's nice knowing that you're not the only one. Mm-hmm. It's nice knowing that, although we're not in the same culture, like, I didn't have to deal with figuring out what happens if my parents leave.
Yeah.
I mean, I did have to figure out, like, survival. Like, mm-hmm. I don't know this, but I trust that my parents will teach me. Yeah. It wasn't like I had to deal with it on my own. And I know that there was plenty of people around me of the same culture and the same understanding, English and Spanish. And so for me, it was nice knowing that I wasn't alone, and I'm still not alone in either culture. Like, both culture, I'm blessed to be able to be of both sides. Like, I'm understood from either culture. Like, they both help me, and I'm not like discriminated between both of them. Like, I have to choose a side. I'm glad that I don't have to go through that, So that's one of my things that I love about not being alone.
Yeah, I love the dreamer opportunity mindset of being able to be an American.
Yeah,
because you get told you can be whatever you want.
Anything.
We can't be whatever we want, but you can. And that's something that brings me guilt sometimes, because at this point in my life, I have not gone back to college and like done something with that opportunity. That I still hold on to the fact that I do want to, and I will go back and I will get a degree in something. But it was very nice to know, like, I'm a Latino American, and that American part is important. Like, I can do something. My parents always, whatever you want to be, you can do it. And Americans, in a sense, always say that to their kids too. Whatever you want to be, you can do it. We'll support you. You can study whatever you want, depending on the parent. You can study whatever you want. You can follow whatever career path you want. Like, it's all possible. Yeah, right? Yeah. Anything is possible. You can do it. The American dream. And I love that anything is possible. I can make it happen. From the Latina side, I really love the culture, to just hang out with my family and be completely relaxed and talk in Spanish and have fun. Yeah. Yeah, do karaoke with them and party and do. I'm not a big dancer, but you know, I kind of dance in my chair or like watch them dance, and they know all the classic dances. You know, all the dances. I'm like, this is nice. You know, I love that, and having friends like that, I love it.
You know, when you say that, sorry, I know you're
no, go.
But one of the things that is also like a very big blessing is that although my family doesn't come from like a story of like poverty, this and that, my family has always been builders. My family has always been entrepreneurs themselves. Like they made themselves into the people they are. And so like it was always nice that they made their own business, they made their own thing, and they never bragged it on me like I worked so hard for you not to do anything. You know, it was more like let this be a motivation, let this be something meaningful to your life, that you can do anything you want, and we're gonna support you 100% in whatever you want. Like that was one side of it that I can relate somehow to you guys' story, not trying to completely relate, because I know it's like there's so much more, but like the way my parents worked hard was just building something from the zero. You know, was like making something and then not letting me not putting me in the tough spot where I had to pick up where they left off or like obligated. You know, it was really nice that I loved that I had this opportunity where it's like, now is your turn to make something for yourself. Like, do it. You can do it. We believe it. And when we started this podcast, I was afraid that my dad would say, I think you should look at this, you know, because every plan that I came up with, my dad would always say, just think about it, you know, like make a plan. I was like, you know, that was the, So I was really happy when my dad was like, go for it. I support you. Like, I believe in you, this and that. And I was like, dang, you know, like, this is nice.
Yeah. I love, at least where we live in North Carolina, like, it's not too country, but it is. And I love it.
I love North Carolina.
I love it. I'm not leaving North Carolina.
I don't want to be in any other state either.
I love it. Maybe I won't stay in Hickory my whole life. I would love to move towards like to the east, to Durham, Raleigh. I always say that's where I want to be. Yeah. But man, I don't know. People say that white people don't have culture. The South has culture. The South has culture. There's just stuff that we have. The dialect, it is so beautiful. I don't care what anybody says. You can say it is trash. You
Kathy
could
makes
say
fun of me for saying breakfast all the time.
Breakfast. No, I reckon. Like I love the dialect. Like, and every now and then you can hear it in my voice, and then I'll be like, ooh. Hello? I'm like, I'm speaking like that.
Hola.
But man, like...
uno dos.
Probando.
But I love the Southern culture that we have here in North Carolina. The food, the music, and here, if you see somebody, you don't ever have to know them, but you see somebody, you greet them like if you've known them for your whole life. You tell them God bless you. You take care of them. Every old white lady is your grandma. all of them, except the racist ones. But all of them. But people here, there's just a Southern hospitality that we have that is beautiful.
I really do love it too.
That is a big one that when I came in, I was really scared of Southern
people.
They were intimidating to you?
Yeah, they were intimidating to me.
Yeah. The friendliness?
Because, you know, like the
guns?
The label.
I love that. No, I'm never shot a gun, and I want to.
No, I don't want that.
No,
but I support you. Want guns, go for it.
For me, it was just like a safety training kind of thing that I did. Like, I shot a real gun, and I actually
I want
really
to.
well,
I want to do that. Just that.
But it was like I don't know. It was more the fact of coming into America where people might be racist or discriminating towards me.
And it happens.
And I was really scared.
I got you.
Yeah. It happens.
When I came, all these Southern people, all these African American people, all these Asian people, it was like this is awesome. Like, dude, everybody here, like, is being country. Like, it's something that I only see on TV. You know, like, this is, like, for me, like, that's my way of being, like, almost foreign, but I'm still a migrant. Like a migrant, you know. That, for me, was, like, it was really intimidating, but it was also amazing at the same time.
Yeah, and I will always rep my flag. I will always speak in wonder and be excited to visit the motherland. I was afraid to show
my pride.
Yeah,
I was afraid to show my pride too.
No, at this point in time, I will forever be proud. I am just as Peruvian as I am American. I am proud of the color of my skin. It's just something that, I mean, you don't need it to be proud of yourself, but man, I look at it and I'm glad to be Latina. Like, I'm proud of it. It's beautiful. My culture, my heritage, and I want to learn more about it. Like, there's just so much I haven't discovered, and even about here in the South and being American. Like, the goal is the American dream, right? I don't think I've achieved it yet. I don't think I've gotten it yet, but the fact that I'm allowed to have it, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, the possibility of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wrapping up with that, you know, we are all so different, so many cultures, and here in America is where we live, and it's known as the melting pot, you know, and we're all intertwined with each other, and we all meet each other. And, you know, it's the same way with us as Christian believers, we're all one body, you know, and we believe that we are all made by the same creator, that he made each and every one of us with a purpose. So we want to share this Bible verse with you. It's 1 Corinthians 12:12. And it says, just as a body, though one has many parts, but all its many parts from one body, so it is with Christ. So yeah, we are all one body. I hope that you enjoyed listening to this podcast with us, hearing a little bit about our stories and our background. And we hope that you tune in again for the next one.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.